Hi.
We're waiting for people. Oh.
I mean, I'll give people a couple minutes.
Oh, okay. Then I saw that 3, 2.
Oh, that just means they're recording.
Yeah, I know, but.
And if you're inside, you mean business. Gentlemen, ladies, if you're inside, it means you mean business. If you have more to talk about, remain outside. When you walk in, you're making a commitment to get ready. Not a commitment to socialize.
Mr. Lag, we need the learning strategy.
I'm going to start in 30 seconds.
Today we didn't have like any lesson
For math. No.
So we just need to read.
Well, actually, I think we're going to do a number talk, so we'll probably talk about some strategies during the number talk, so you can write it down. 15 seconds. What time is it? It's 12:23.
My mom picked me up and
I certainly wasn't there. I don't know. Okay, so not every other Wednesday, but almost every other Wednesday, the teachers at the Columbus School. I'm sorry, again, you need to stop doing it. If you're in here, you're serious. If you're in here, you're ready. If you're not ready, stay outside and talk. I'm not going to yell at you for being outside talking. I would respect that way more than you coming in and pretending you're ready and having a conversation with somebody. Because you coming in to pretend that you're ready and have a conversation just wastes everybody's time. If you're outside having your conversation, maybe it's more important, so you're not wasting your time. Okay? You're missing some learning. You're certainly not distracting people. So as I was saying, every other Wednesday almost, we do something called self-directed learning for the teachers. And I've been hemming and hawing, and like, what am I going to do? I'm going to do this, I'm going to do habits of mind, I'm going to look at John Hattie Reese, I'm going to do all this stuff. And it finally occurred to me, I've been wanting to do something called mental models. I'm not going to get into it that much. For a long time, and I finally decided I'm going to do it. And what a mental model is it's a tool. It's a tool for your brain. It helps you make decisions. It helps you think about life. It helps you do a lot of things. And there's tons of them. There's tons of these things called mental models. And one of the things that they do is they allow you to take an idea and use it in different situations. Okay, so for example, one of the mental models, it's all about like the foundational knowledge. So things that happen in biology. Okay, so you take these foundational knowledge of what happens in biology and you try and apply it in different situations, like in a classroom. Okay, but the one thing that I learned about yesterday was something called confirmation bias. Fallibility. I can't remember that one. I can't remember the name. I had trouble remembering the name yesterday. And what I'm going to talk to you right now is called inversion. Okay, inversion is a way to solve problems. And it's a little different. Because a lot of times people think of a problem and they look forward. And they're going to go, these are the things I'm going to do in order to solve the problem or reach the goal or whatever. And what inversion does is it has you look at what you want. It looks at your goal and makes you go, if I do this, it's never going to happen for me. If I do this, it's never going to happen for me. All the mistakes that you could possibly make. That you know if you do this one thing, you're not going to reach your goal. And so what that means is that a lot of times it's way easier to avoid doing something stupid than it is seeking the brilliant thing. Okay? So what this does is you list all of the mistakes you could make in your head. So if you know that by next Thursday, next Friday, you need a well-written, interesting memoir that's brand new than what you've done before, I want you to think right now, what are some things that you could do that will get in your way, that will make it almost impossible for you to succeed. And just list some on your fingers. Do that in your head. What are some things that you could do and the choices that you could make to ensure that you're not going to do what the best possible thing that you could possibly do? So just do that internally. Kind of list them on your fingers. What are the mistakes you could make? What is going to make you not reach your goal of producing the best piece of writing you've ever produced in your life? All right, this can be a long process. Hopefully you have some. You know what to avoid. Okay, there's probably way more that you can think of too. Again, it's easier to avoid that stuff than it is to seek some sort of brilliant solution. Okay, that's what a lot of people don't know. And this strategy you can use in any part of your life. It doesn't have to be just in writing. It could be with anything you're wanting to do. If you think about all the things that you could do to fail, it makes you aware of your choices. And so what I'm going to lead into that with is this idea of what we should be doing today. You have some choices to make as a writer. One of the ideas yesterday was to have that big idea, what you're trying to communicate, the stories you're going to be using to communicate that, and what structure you're going to be. And if you have all that, great. And you have choices to make too. Some people like to just get it down. They have the idea, they have the structure, they want to get it down as quickly as possible, so by the end of the day you have a draft. You have a draft that you know you can look at, revise over the next few days. Some of you are going to want to be like, you know what, I'm going to take my time, I'm going to slow down, I'm going to choose every single word very, very carefully. I'm going to really revise every paragraph as I go, because I really want to do it, and that's your choice. Today I'm just going to go over the flash drafting and what that would look like. Okay? But I do want to acknowledge that if you don't want to do the flash draft, if you are someone who wants to work more deliberate and slower, you do have that option. Okay? But I want to talk about this flash drafting thing. And the reason I have the horizon in this car is because you have the big picture. You have the knowledge that you want. You're just trying to get everything down as fast as possible. Okay? And that's what flash drafting is. And one of the ways we can do that for our there we go. For our memoir is to quickly go over your plan. Okay? Think about how it's going to go. And then get going. Basically. And so what that's going to look like for me is I have my plan. I have my idea. It sparked yesterday when I started talking about friendship and kind of how that changed for me. This idea, all this moving around and not having friends very short time and kind of this idea of stability and having the same friends since I was a freshman in high school. Okay, so I'm going to do a hybrid. I've made that decision as well. So I have my hybrid, which is going to be some opinion and some narrative. I'm really going to slow down my stories. I think the most important... Maybe I'll start with like a flashback, like where I am now. Maybe the realization I had yesterday in class. Maybe that's where I'm going to start with it. I think that's probably what I'll do. I'll start with my realization in class about how my view of friendship has changed over the years, and then kind of do those flashbacks into maybe meeting those friends, maybe going through listing all the times that I had to leave friends because I was moving so much, and then maybe talking about kind of how all those things have changed for me. And then I would just start writing. Okay? So go over that really again. I went over my plan. I was like, this is what I had decided yesterday. I had decided this structure, these items. I thought about what my beginning, middle, and end was going to look like. And then I'm off to the races. I'm off to run it. Okay? So I'm going to ask you to do that right now. I want you to think about your plan. I want you to think about how it's going to go. And then in about 45 seconds, I'm going to ask you to talk to your tribe, a member of your tribe, not the whole one, so you all have a chance. Start writing, but with your mouth. Does that make sense?
What?
So what is it? How? So you know when things are going to start like. Start writing your paper, but by talking about it.
In 45 seconds, we don't know.
Try it. Because that's how long it took me to do my process. And I did it live. I didn't even plan it. I try to do that because I think it's unfair if I think about it for a day and a half and you only get 45 seconds. Okay, so it's been 45 seconds. If you don't have anything, because you're kind of stuck, that's fine. You don't have to share. I will ask you, though, that when we go back to our writing spots, that you stay here so you acknowledge that you might need some assistance from me. Okay, and I can kind of quickly help you out to get you started. Okay, but if you have something and you want to try and start it out by talking about, let's do that now for about a minute. Okay? So talk to someone in the tribe. How's it going to go? Another 10 seconds.
And so, my plan is to start with describing and then start with the flashback and then an elevator description and
Alright, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and 0. My plan today, and I have to apologize, I read through everyone's draft, the published, quote-unquote published one from last Bend, except for a couple people. So I need to go down and find them because I didn't have a copy of them. I had Viviana make copies of all of your drafts so that I could look through them quickly. I don't have some of yours, so I'm going to have to go during lunch and recess to read those. Because what I did is I listed all the things you're doing well as a writer. And so my point was to try and write that down and give that to you, but I ran out of time. So what I'm going to do today, because I want it done today, is I'm going to go as quickly as I can to each of you and tell you in person what I saw in your writing that you're doing extremely well. Okay? I'm not going to go with the improved part. I'm just going to focus on what you need to, what you're doing, what your strengths are so far. A lot of times, if we develop our strengths, everything else gets better. Look through what you're supposed to be working on, and look at the share. The share is going to be that checklist that you should have picked up earlier, because it was on the square table, and you and your tribe kind of reading through your work, filling that out for yourself. And that'll be the final 5 minutes. Yes, ma'am. Okay? You may not get through the whole checklist because it is a little bit more complicated now that I had you answer questions. Okay? But a goal for you today might be finishing that draft. If you're choosing to do the flash draft route, or it's going to be you're being very deliberate, you're really working the strategies, you're really trying to do the best possible writing, every single word you're really thinking about. So kind of decide where you are. Yes, sir?
And what type of writing do you know?
What do? I flash draft and then I revise. Almost all the time.
Me too.
So, but it's up to you. Because for me, when I flash draft, then I don't care about, like, I know I can change it. Like, I know it's not the best thing I've written. But if I, like, plod through it, then I'm more apt to not change it. I think it's really, I prefer it that way. But we're all not the same. All right, let's get going. You don't have much time. Go, go, go.
Do we stay on the
If you